Hey everyone, thanks for joining me this week. You're watching In Deep on the Delta, and this is the weekly Delta fishing report for the week of September 16th. We're going to start off with a short interview that I did with John Liechty. So let's check out the interview with John. As soon as I interview John, we'll get to the weekly fishing report. Hey everyone, I got a special guest on board today, and it's John Liechty. You guys have heard me talk about John for the last year, and John helps me out with the Mother Lode report, and I finally got John on the boat, and I want to put a face to the name. And when I talk about John Liechty, you're always hearing John Liechty from Experienced Fishing Guide Service. John runs, he's a full-time guide fishing mostly Maloney's and other Mother Lode lakes, but I wanted you guys to put a face to the name. We'll talk about his guide service here in a minute, but John, you know, it's middle of September, fishing's tough, we're coming off summer, but we are coming into the fall pattern. Can you just, you know, say a few words about what's going to be happening, hopefully, if historical information pans out? When can we start looking for the Mother Lode to turn on? What should we start looking for? And just give us a little rundown of what's coming down in the next month.
Yeah, no problem. It's been a relatively long and grueling summer, probably the hottest summer that I can remember. Bite hasn't been great. We've had little moments of, you know, some stuff, but it's kind of been slower than average, basically due to the water levels dropping so fast.
What's it going to take for the fishing to turn on? Is it water temperature? Is there a magic temperature you're looking for?
The releases slowing down is one of the major things that, you know, I'm looking forward to in the fall. Once they stop releasing so much water, the shad and the plankton, everything kind of stabilizes. The colder nights is a major helpful factor, and the shorter days. So basically the water temperature kind of stabilizes and begins to fall. We don't see that 82, 84 degree water temperature. It's going to dip down into the mid 70s to low 70s at night, and everything just starts to kind of get better at that. Historically mid-October, and then coming into November, you know, it gets good, and usually right around Thanksgiving too is when the lake's going to turn over, and we're going to get to see, you know, trout come up. That's usually when the swim bait bite picks up as well.
So remember that around Thanksgiving, start keeping an eye on the Mother Lode. And I'd like to recommend John as a guide. I've been out with him, and he is an extremely knowledgeable angler. And I'm telling a lot of the folks that have been communicating with me, you know, and communicating that they've been having tough luck on their recent trips. You know, a day on the river with a good guide, or on the lake with a guide like John. It doesn't have to be John. You may know someone else, but I would highly recommend John.
Thank you, Steve.
He's a fun guy to fish with, and he'll put you on the fish. But John is a teaching guide, and you can learn more in a day with John than you're going to be able to figure out for yourself probably in a year or two. So if you're thinking about hiring a guide, check out John's website. And what is your website, John?
It's experiencefishing.net.
Experiencefishing.net. We'll put that up in the remarks so you'll have it. And look John up, and I know he'll put you on to fish. And you know, when the Delta gets tough, mid-winter, you're getting good numbers of fish, both, you know, mostly spots, and they're not the huge fish, but a lot of times we're getting 30, 40 fish, 50 fish days when we were just beating ourselves to death on the Delta. So that's something to think about.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun in the fall. The weather's great. Spotted bass are extremely fun to catch. And
it's action.
It's action. You learn some new techniques, you know, figure out how to fish finesse baits mostly, but sometimes we get some fall topwater as well. So definitely looking forward to it.
And catching fish, and when you're catching 30 and 40 fish a day, you're going to learn a heck of a lot more than coming out here and just beating You're going to learn not only about how to catch them, but what it takes to set the hook, what it takes to fight them, landing fish, and it's just it's a heck of a lot more enjoyable. So, John, I hope you have a good winter time, and I'm going to be up there fishing with you. And I wanted everybody to give them a good smile so they know what you look like.
Yep,
and
we'll go fish.
I talk to John every week, and John will be feeding us information for the Mother Lode lakes and Maloney's, Don Pedro, Tolic, whatever he's fishing, and we'll make sure that they get that information. John Liechty.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve.
All right. All right, now you guys know John. You've seen his face. You know what he's all about, and he is the man that is the man for the mother lode. So with that, let's get into the striper report. And I'll tell you, there is a quiet optimism among striper fishermen right now. There's a lot of fish in the system. There's fish out in the salt. There's some big fish out there. We're going to talk about that. And all we need is the water temperature to drop, or man, if we get lucky and get a storm where we have some rain come in, those fish are going to push up here. And I mean, the fish that are out on the salt right now, I've got reports from Hook, Line, and Sinker that there's been some fish caught in the 30-pound class, and there's a good supply of fish right in that 15-pound class. And man, if those fish push into the delta, we're just going to have a great time. But let's get into the information that I've got from the shops, and we'll talk about Haps Bait and Tackle. They've had a slow week, and they were talking about quite a bit of wind, so a lot of people didn't go out this week, so that's probably why they didn't have a lot of reports. But they did want me to put the word out that the Rio Vista Bass Derby, the annual 73rd Rio Vista Bass Derby, is going to be held October 8th, 9th, and 10th. This year they're going to have a $3,000 first prize. Now don't quote me on that. I read that somewhere on the internet, and I think that's what it's going to be. But $3,000 for the winning fish, and the winning fish in the past hasn't been the biggest fish. It's been a length that they determine, and the fish that comes closest to that length wins the derby. So you can win that derby, $3,000, with anywhere from a 4-pound to 40-pound fish. So check that out. And again, that is October 8th, 9th, and 10th. I did get a hold of Captain Jeff Soo Hoo from Soo Hoo Sportfishing, and Jeff had a great first part of the week. In the last few days, he's been toughing it out. He's still getting limits, but he's having to move around. And generally, that's not a good sign. When Jeff's not catching fish, no one's catching fish. But this week, that's not necessarily the case. So I'll talk to Jeff next week, and I can guarantee you he's going to have a good report for me. But this week, just so from Jeff. Now, the reports that I have been getting that are really good are the people that have been sending me the information, the reports. And I want to thank you guys all again for sending me both the striper reports and the largemouth reports. And one thing that I haven't put out a whole lot, if you have a picture or you want to send me a report, send them to scooper9561032@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to send those pictures in. So I've been getting a lot of reports. I've talked to Hook, Line, and Sinker, Outdoor Sportsman, and the word is there's just a lot of stripers being caught, especially by the largemouth bass fishermen. And one bait that keeps coming up is the jerk bait. That's really come into play this week, both for largemouth and for stripers. So if you're going out, even if you're fishing for largemouth, do a multi-species trip. Look around for largemouth, keep your eye open, in the current for the stripers. Put on a good jerk bait, and you're going to catch some fish. Oh, and also there seems to be an awful lot of stripers congregating around Frank's track now. So if you're going out of Russo's, you don't have to come, down into the central delta to find them, or you don't have to go out to the Sacramento. Also, I have been fishing from the mouth of Disappointment Slough up to Prisoner's Point and along the channel there. So if you're coming out of downtown, or you're coming out of King Island or Paradise Point, likewise, you don't have to go all the way out to Frank's track. There's plenty of stripers right here in the central delta. They seem to be all over. I want you guys to check out my friend Eli. He's sent me a really great picture of a couple of fish that he got. And these are common fish that you're going to get. I know Eli throws a lot of chatterbaits. He likes throwing chatterbaits. I don't know if he caught these fish on chatterbaits, but you can expect to get these 2.5 to 5 pound fish pretty routinely. And if you check out Eli, check out his Instagram at NorCal Angler. I think it's NorCal Angler. I'll put his information up there. But he's very active on Instagram, and if you're following Eli, I guarantee you're following the fish, because he's out here about 4 days a week a lot of times, and he's posting what he's doing out here. So a good guy to follow on Instagram for you guys that are on Instagram. All right, with that, let's get into the largemouth bass. And the word from everyone is the fish are biting. There are some big fish being caught, and I'll give Monty props here. He's got a 7.8 that he caught on a square bill. That was the biggest fish of the week that anyone sent me a picture of. So there are a few big fish coming in, but it's more numbers and just action. I was talking to Zach at Outdoor Sportsman, and Zach not only gets a lot of information from Outdoor Sportsman, but he's pretty well connected with a lot of the big sticks out here. And the word I got from Zach is, yeah, there's big fish coming in, but it's really hard to put a limit of big fish in the boat. Most guys, you know, when they get that 6, 7, 8 pounder, it's one fish, and then they're kind of struggling to get some, maybe a couple quality fish, you know, 3, 3.5, 4 pounds, and then they're having to fill out their sack with smaller fish under 2 pounds. And that is the case. So this time of year, I've got to recommend to everybody, come out, think about a multi-species trip, looking for both stripers and largemouth. You're going to catch both. You're going to go through a lot of largemouth bass. You're going to wade through a lot of small ones. You're going to get some, you know, keeper size 12 to 14. More than likely, you're going to get yourself a couple of quality fish in that 3 to 4 pound. If you get lucky, you'll get a bigger fish, but don't expect to be putting together a 25-pound bag. At least not right now. Wait a couple weeks, and this fall transition comes in. Maybe the big girls will start moving around, and there'll be some heavier sacks. As soon as the water temperatures get down to around 70 degrees, I think there's going to be a good largemouth bass bite go on. Now, with that being said, the fish seem to be chasing bait more, and they're weaning themselves off of the plastics onto faster moving baits. This week I kind of put up the punch rod and the worm rod. Punching just wasn't getting me enough fish, and it wasn't getting me the size of fish that I wanted, so I switched over my 2 baits that I caught fish on this week. My primary bait was the Lucky Craft pointer, just in a standard shad color, and that was both good for stripers and largemouth, and it also took my biggest large, or you know, a better class of largemouth. The other bait that I was using was a square bill, and that was basically a Delta Craw color. I was getting fish on that, but they were smaller fish. The pointer seemed to catch bigger fish. Numbers on each one were good, either the jerk bait or the crankbait. Those were the 2 baits that I used this week. I am going to start throwing some more topwater baits because I think there's going to be some topwater action coming up. I was fishing rock bank with tulies, and the one place that I found fish is, let's say we have a bend in the river like this, coming around like this, and we've got a lot of current. I'm fishing where the current is going into the bank. So if the river is here, I'm not fishing this bank here. I am fishing the bank that has the current on it. And my best fishing was at low incoming tide, about the 2nd hour into the low incoming tide. So as soon as that tide gets moving to come in, not really good. But right as it really picks up, I've got a bite window of about an hour and a half, and I catch my fish then, and that's been the best bite period. Now, I might be the best for me because I have been out earlier in the morning, and that's just the way the pattern's been. I think the better afternoon pattern will be high outgoing tide, and there is no reason to get up super early. If you want to stay out all day, that's fine, but if you're going to choose a morning or evening to fish, I would stay out till dark rather than getting up super early. Before I leave you guys, I also wanted to give Frank a shout out. Frank is a bank angler, and he has been, you know, just grinding it out all summer long. He got the opportunity to go out with a friend with a boat. 3 of them went out. They got 73 fish. Frank got his PB. Not a huge fish, but it's his PB. And for a guy that's been grinding it out on the bank all day, I wanted to put his picture out there and congratulate Frank and make sure everybody got a good shot of Frank with his PB. So Frank, congratulations. I know you're going to break that PB before long. With that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next week. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, and if you see me out here on the water, stop by and say hi. The fishing's not so great right now where we can't take a minute out of the day to chat and maybe have a little cold drink of water or something and get to know each other. So thank you guys again for watching, and we'll see you in next week's video.